Vice President of the Theosophical Society, Mr Shikhar Agnihotri ji, who is also the speaker for today's session, International Secretary, Ms. Maria Artama, General Manager of the estate, Mr K. Jaikumar, and friends. On behalf of the Theosophical Society, I would like to welcome you all to our international headquarters at Adyar. For the benefit of those who are visiting for the first time, Adyar is the spiritual and administrative heart of the Theosophical Society that was founded in 1875 in New York by Colonel Henry Steele Olcott and Madam Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Though the society today extends across more than 58 countries, it is here at Adyar that its pulse may still be quietly felt in the rustle of ancient trees, in the stillness of its spaces, and in the shared aspiration of all who gather here in the search for truth. This evening, we come together as part of the Wisdom for Living lecture series, a space not only for listening but for inward reflection. It is our privilege today to welcome Shikar Agnihotri ji, who will speak to us on the evocative theme, The Divine Homing Signal. The title itself suggests something that is both intimate and universal, a quiet call within, guiding us perhaps through the many layers of life back to an inner center of truth. Shikharji's own journey reflects such a call. Beginning his professional life in merchant shipping after graduating in nautical science from Mumbai University, he chose, after a decade at sea, to step away from a conventional path guided by an inner prompting to explore deeper questions of life and the self. Introduced to theosophy by his mother, Mrs. Vasumati, his engagement with the society has grown into a life of dedicated service. Since joining in 2008, he has been a founder member of the T.S. Pragya Lodge and the TOS Maitri Group in Lucknow, and has served as National Lecturer of the Indian section since 2016. Through study camps, seminars, youth gatherings, and public talks across India, he has helped to meld theosophical ideas with contemporary life. His work extends into academic spaces as well, with theosophical writings published in multiple languages. Since 2019, he has served as an international lecturer and together with his wife Catalina has helped to make theosophical teachings more accessible through various digital initiatives. Now serving on the General Council as International Vice President, he continues to offer his time and energy in full-time service at Adyar, where he lives with his family. From birds that cross oceans to butterflies that find forests they have never seen, nature is filled with beings responding to a subtle inner guidance towards the place of their origin. Perhaps in us humans too, there is such a movement, such a calling that exists, less visible but no less real. As we listen this evening, perhaps we may allow ourselves to become a little quieter within, to listen not only to the words that are spoken, but also to that subtler echo they may awaken in us. With that, it is my pleasure to invite Shikharji to deliver his talk on the divine homing signal.
Thank you, Geetha ji. It was very strange to hear from you, Shikhar ji. Please call me Shikhar only. So that's, more loving also, and less formal. But thank you so much for accepting to do this introduction, and I feel honored by that because this talk today came out at a very short notice. And the routine talk that we were supposed to have was retiring beyond the visiting card, the session one of which was taken by Mr. Ramkumar. But I think this is also a kind of continuation to it, that this is something that from which we never retire. This is something, whether you are 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 50-year-old, 70-year-old, or 80-year-old, this is something to be always worked upon, to be taken care of. As we just mentioned, that as humans, it is kind of a special opportunity to us that we have this power within us that we are going to talk about a little bit today evening and see where it goes. And before we start, I would just like to invoke that guru principle that is teaching us all the time. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, as Geetha ji said, this Wisdom for Living lecture series, in this we invite people from different backgrounds, professionally and from different aspects of life, avenues of life, whether it's art, medicine, astrology, philosophy, spirituality, and those who have tried to implement some of the spiritual values in their work. So this thought that I'm going to share with you today came long back to me, which is related to kind of my profession in which I worked for about 10 years. And as Geetha ji mentioned, that my profession was shipping, merchant navy. And in ships, these days a lot of ships are especially in the Middle East, are in trouble if they are somewhere in the Middle East, or so you can imagine that. But while working on ships, I came to realize something, that with years and years of inventions and discoveries, advancement in technology, the life on ships have been made very comfortable and easier as compared to earlier years. But every now and then, although the transportation by ship is much more safer than transportation by any other means, because there are much less accidents or, all those things. There are more accidents on road that happens rather than on sea. But still, based on previous experiences, such things happened. And so they tried to implement a system where people can be rescued. So if a ship catches fire or is drowning, so how to rescue the people? So on the ships, you might have seen, if you have seen the movie Titanic or in other movies, there is something called lifeboat. Right? Lifeboat is provided, or a life raft is provided. It's colored in orange so that it's very visible from very far. And that is okay. The ship is in danger, so people get into the lifeboat or the life raft, and then they launch the lifeboat separate from the ship. The ship is gone, but the people are still in the lifeboat in the middle of the ocean. But how will they be rescued if nobody knows where are they? So for that, there is a system and equipment that is provided in the ships that is called EPIRB, or Emergency Position Indicating Radio Beacon. Very, satellite-based communication. So this equipment, when it touches the salt water, it starts sending the signal through the satellite, as you can see. And that satellite sends the signal to a rescue center, and then rescue center sends another helicopter or a ship nearby or a naval craft to rescue the people. But due to the waves in the ocean, this equipment is also going up and down. So the signal is not steady. And a minor difference in a signal can create a distance of, hundreds of kilometers on the ship. So what happens that just based on this, it is very difficult to find where is this lifeboat. It can be anywhere in hundreds of square miles. One more equipment is provided in the boat or the life raft that is called search and rescue transponder. Now, what is the special thing about this? That whenever any rescue aircraft or a boat is coming, it responds to its radar or the signal sent by this ship or a helicopter received by this transponder, and it responds to it. So with that, the helicopter or the ship knows exactly from where the signal is coming. It's like if it's completely dark and you hear a sound from someone or some direction, just the sound, you will know the direction from where the sound is coming, but you will not know the exact point. But suddenly, if the person has a flashlight, and if the person switches it on, you will know exactly where that flashlight is and where the person is or the people in distress are. And this signal, this connection, is called the homing signal. Homing signal means that it leads the rescue party to the people in distress, and then they are rescued and taken home. That is, you can interpret it in different ways. That a homing signal is the one that leads to the point of distress, rescues, and takes you home in, one way or the other. So this is what human mind has created out of necessity. But it's very interesting to know that it already exists in nature, in various species. There are homing pigeons who can return across vast distances. I mean, from hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of distance, they return back to their original position. And in earlier times, pigeons were used for sending small notes and all. And especially in the movies, we have seen that, they send some messages from the pigeons. But those were the days when they were used due to this special capability. There are salmons, fishes, who find their birthplace rivers. That they were born in a river and then they go out and sea, but then they come back to the same river in which they were born. Sea turtles return to the same beach to lay eggs where they were born. It is called natal homing. Even they go in the oceans and spend years there, but they come back to the same beach to lay eggs. So it means, and this is just few examples that I am giving. There may be many other species who have this capacity, but in animal kingdom, we name it as instinct. That they have this instinct and they just follow. Nature has given them this instinct, but also based on a science that they either follow the currents, the water currents, or currents or the magnetic current of the earth. Somehow, similarly, many birds are there which can fly across hundreds and thousands of kilometers to go back and forth the same place again and again. And maybe that's how we can say that nature maybe somehow subconsciously inspires our inventions also. So it is very normal to ask this question, that is there something like this in us? Something like homing signal in us, human beings. But what is home in this case? We will talk about it, and what is this? And if there is, how does it work in our daily life? How does it help in taking the next step in a situation? Because that is one of the most important thing of this signal or this information or this insight, that it helps us in a crisis or a situation that we are not able to decide something or do something. And then what are the various aspects of this signal? What is the mystery that this thing has all the answers of our problems? How is it possible? The answers that we keep looking outside, we go from one person to other person for our problems, but if we get connected to this, we get all the answers. How do those wise people have all the answers to whom we go? And finally, if it exists, what are the ways to be able to perceive this inner guidance so as to have a peaceful and harmonious existence? Because everybody wants to live a peaceful, harmonious life. Everybody is aiming for that in one way or the other. Somebody is trying that if I get more money, I will have a peaceful life. If I get more power, I will have a peaceful life. Somebody will think if I do more meditation, I will have a peaceful life. Or if I do more service, I will have a peaceful life. So ultimate aim is the same thing, that everybody wants to have a peaceful, harmonious life, but everybody is looking for it in different directions based on their understanding. So now coming to this original question, that every day, if we look how this signal affects our daily life, every day we come across situations in which we have to make some decisions, right? Some decisions which are not even decisions. We are so used to them that we don't even think that we are making decisions. We are so habituated to them. But mostly, if I ask you, any decision that we make in our life, what is it based on? Normally, we can say either based on profit or loss, right? This decision will give me profit or loss, so I do the accordingly, right? The decision that will give me profit, I'll make that decision, right? Many times we make decisions based on our desires or emotions. Although the doctor has told me not to eat ice cream, but I want to eat ice cream, and my desire is to eat ice cream, and I go and eat ice cream. Overpowering, ignoring the discrimination or the thought that I should not eat ice cream, but my desire overcomes that precaution, and I do that. Same thing with emotions. The third thing is, we take decisions by habits or prejudices. We have done something in the past in a particular direction, so the next situation comes and we take the same decision. So these are the basic things based on which we take our decisions. But do you think that there comes situation in life when neither of this helps? None of this helps us in taking decisions. It can be a big decision, let's say for a student, which line of career should I choose? Shall I marry this person or not marry? Shall I take up this job or not? Or some question related to inner journey, because there may be plus and minus in both the decisions, both the directions. So there comes a situation that mind cannot decide. based on previous informations, because mind is always old. It is a collection of memory and thoughts. So it is always facing the life with the previous prejudices, but life is always throwing new challenges to us. So when this happens, what do we do when we cannot decide? In such situations, do we ask someone? Right? We ask someone whom we think is wiser than us. We refer to a book. Maybe this book can give my answer. We refer to a guru or teacher, again, whom we think is wiser than us. We go to astrologer. Please see my natal chart. What decision shall I take? Or we also sometimes try to escape that situation by engaging ourselves in completely different direction. We keep that decision waiting, ignoring until something happens on its own, and we keep trying ignoring that by engaging ourselves in whatever, entertainment, shopping, traveling, or doing whatever. But this is the exact same situation that if we do not escape, if we do not go to anybody, if we do not fight it, if we do not try to find a quick fix to it, just stay with it, something happens. And I assume many of us may have had experienced this situation in smaller or bigger measure, but this something that happens can only happen when we do not turn to anybody else. And it can happen in different forms. And this is not something that I'm talking about spiritual life. Although there is no a distinction between a spiritual life or material life, because everything is a whole. There is no material life separate and spiritual life separate. No. Material life, basically, it's only an outlook. How do we look at life? A material outlook or a spiritual outlook? So this is why I'm saying, because this is equally applicable to anyone. And so many examples we have for this. I think we know this person, Mr. Mendeleev. We study that he discovered periodic table in chemistry. But do you know what happened? How it was discovered? Maybe, okay, so let me share you a small thing about this. He was having a list of all these elements that he knew. He knew their numbers and atomic weights and everything. He made, small slips, and he kept with him. And he was trying for days and days together how to arrange them in an order. I mean, that he became so obsessed with it that he could not even, properly eat, sleep, or like that, do his normal routine things. And one day, after some time had passed, he was sleeping and he had a dream. In that dream, he saw all these elements fell right into their place. And he woke up, and when he woke up, he remembered that dream. He made that table and everything. Then he saw, everything is perfectly arranged. And what we got is basically the periodic table, which is still growing and increasing with new elements. From where did this dream come? I mean, he was working for days and days together. Similarly, Archimedes, He was given the task of, checking huh? He discovered the principle of buoyancy. So he was working on that, again, could not find through his mind, through his conscious mind. But one day he went into the bathtub and the water came out, and suddenly this idea struck his mind that the water went out equal to the displacement of the mass of the body that is going in. And on that he built on this principle of buoyancy. And he was so excited with that he ran to the courtroom saying, "Eureka, Eureka," without realizing that he was not having any clothes on. But that is how it comes. And these are scientists we are talking about. And one more such thing. We all know Siddhartha Gautam Buddha. How he got this, I would say, again, this signal came to him from outside. Now, how we are talking about within, so how did it come from outside? What came from outside was a sign, but the understanding of that sign came from within. And when Siddhartha with his 5 followers, he was doing extreme austerities. They were drinking the water only from what was coming from the rain, and any droppings of the birds they used to eat, and they became so thin, so weak, that he was trying to overcome the body, the effect of the body. But one day during these austerities, he was sitting in meditation, and on the back of that place there was a river. On the river, a boat was passing by, on which one person, couple of people were there, and this one teacher was telling the student, or the father telling to son, whichever version of the story is. They were musicians, he had a lute, veena, what we call the musical instrument. So he was telling the student that the wires, the strings of the lute should be in perfect tension. If they are too slack, if they are too loose, the music will not come. And if they are too tight, it will break. So the string should be in perfect amount of tension. These words from outside, Siddhartha heard, and although no connection between the two, somebody talking about completely different thing, third person hearing it, but Siddhartha realized the gravity of these words, and he applied it on himself, that yes, he has been taking the extremes of austerities. And then he left that path of extremism, and he then received this sweet that was made by a girl called Sujata of the village, and he took that sweet, then sat in meditation, and then it said that he got enlightened, and what we know as the middle path came into being. What we know, middle path. No, neither of the extremities, neither too much, neither too less, but the perfect amount of thing. So again, these are the examples we are sharing here, that it can come to us in different forms. It can be a dream, it can be a sudden flash of the thing. Einstein got his theory of relativity in the same way. He had a vision, but that will be another story. So it means that there is something within us which is beyond mind. Now, if you compare modern psychology and theosophy, because modern psychology it says the mind basically is the highest decision-making level. Mind has several levels, layers, subconscious or unconscious, conscious. But theosophy, or what we can say in spirituality or Vedanta or any other philosophical approach discipline, says that mind is basically an intermediary. And there is a lower mind and a higher mind, and there is something also beyond mind. The psychology says that mind's works includes cognition, emotions, and it focuses on behavior, well-being, and there is nothing beyond the mind. But here we can say that theosophy explains very clearly that there is something beyond mind which we know as buddhi or intuition or prajna, which expresses itself in the form of wisdom. And the purpose of this theme of lectures is wisdom for living. So in a sense, the purpose is also to go beyond the mind. Because mind is, as always said, it is nothing but accumulation of past experiences, a memory. And depending on which aspect of ours is more prominent on the mind will guide our path. So it is like a mirror. That it is like a mirror. If the light of our buddhi or intuition enlightens the mind, we will be in touch with our higher aspect, our higher nature, and a lot of these things that we are talking about will become our day-to-day life, and we'll get constant communication. But if our lower nature, like desires, habits, prejudices, conditioning, are overpowering our mind or influencing the mind, then it will go in that direction. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, when Lord Krishna says, mind is the cause of liberation, but mind is also the cause of bondage, depending upon in which direction it goes. And if we say that there is a divine homing signal in us, it means it presupposes the divine ancestry of humanity. It means we have that divine spark within, which again, now we are going into the realm which is beyond the modern science. Because modern science, although it doesn't even go to mind, it goes only to brain, and what we discussed a few weeks back when we were discussing about thoughts. But what theosophy says, and what is this divine ancestry, I will have a quick thing, because it's a good opportunity that we talk here about what theosophy says, that the sevenfold constitution of a human being, and you can see that the two triangles, the higher upper triangle is our higher nature, just in a very broad sense, and the lower triangle is our lower nature, that is full of our physical body, our desires, emotions, personality, and our higher nature. So, and the mind is the connecting aspect. So whichever nature of ours is prominent will influence the mind. So that is the difference between the working of mind and buddhi also. With mind, we can do a lot of collection of data, right? We can do a lot of research, this reference, that reference, memorize a lot of things. But still, the connection between those informations is the insight that is given by the buddhi. It's like if we enter into a room completely dark, right? And somebody tells us, please make a map of this room, what is kept where. So one option is that we enter the room, and then what we'll do, we'll touch, take one step, touch, one step, move, and in our mind we'll keep making, okay, here is the podium, here is the TV, and then slowly, slowly we will move around the whole room, and it will take a lot of time and also with some mistakes, right? This is the working of the mind, collecting information from various sources. What is intuition? You just switch on a light in the room, and in one flash you know everything, what is where. And that is what happened to Archimedes, that in one flash he knew what is the connection. In one flash Siddhartha knew that yes, that is the solution. And that is why the working of buddhi, what we are talking about, is so important. That why is it necessary? And in our daily life, okay, I'll come to that later. That this we have already covered, but this inner guidance that comes, we need to distinguish it from, many times we say, oh, I have a hunch, I have a gut feeling, or clairvoyance, tricks of the mind or conscience. This is not what we are talking about. A hunch, a gut feeling can be there, can be based on previous traumas, previous conditionings, sometimes true, sometimes not true. Clairvoyance also is like a extrasensory power, does not necessarily need to be related to what we are talking about. Conscience. Conscience, if you notice, tells us only what not to do. When we are going to do something wrong, there is a voice that says, no, don't do this, this is wrong. Okay, if we ignore it and go ahead, that's a different thing. But if we, care for it and we stop doing. But it does not tell us what to do. Tricks of the mind, that many times the mind plays a trick on us only, pretending that this is our homing signal or intuition, but actually it's the conditioning of the mind. For example, if let's say we are sitting in an interview, right? We are in the interview panel board, 3-4 people, and the candidates are coming for interview. So one after the other, they are coming and we are asking them questions. But suddenly you realize that one person who has come for interview belongs to your city, belongs to the house where you live nearby, or maybe somehow even your relative. Do you think there might be a little more sympathy for that person? And you may be thinking, oh, his record or her record looks much better, and I think he or she had something extra, and we will try to convince ourselves that that person is better than the others. If it does not happen, it means we are very objective. If we do not let this relationship affect our decision, that is right. But that's how sometimes our mind tricks us. So we are not talking about all these things. And there is also a difference between this, what we are calling intuitions or buddhic inner guidance, and a normal impulse that comes in our mind, right? Like children, suddenly they say, oh, I want to do this, and they are very strong that I want to do this. But next day, they have forgotten all about it. Same happens with adults also. We want to do something and we think, oh, this is my inner call. But sometime later, it turns out to be something else. So Annie Besant has given a very clear difference about it. That if there, let's say, put it for a delay. Like if you have something of like this thing that you want to do, note it down, put it there, and little bit delay it and see with the delay, is it becoming stronger or is it becoming weaker and weaker? If it is an impulse, momentary impulse, it will slowly die down. But if it is a real calling, it will grow stronger and stronger. Also, along with this feeling will come, let's see that whether it is conviction or stubbornness. Conviction means you want to do something and you are committed to it, but also you are open to advice and instructions. But stubbornness is, I want to do this, no matter what, whatever it does to anybody else, I don't care, but this is what I want and I want to do it. That is the differentiating aspect. Suppose, again, if it is getting delayed, are you patient or are you getting frustrated? And finally, that thing that I want to do has a selfish motive or a holistic motive. These are some of the benchmarks with which we can check ourselves that whether this is our intuition or it is just our, kind of selfish ambition or desire. And another thing, what we said, that how come this homing signal has the solution to all of our problems? Who in your normal understanding has the solution to any problem? Someone who has the whole view, the whole problem or the whole situation in view, that person can know the solution also. That is my understanding. Like if you are viewing a part of the problem and trying to solve that, it may temporarily solve it, but it will create another problem, which many times like the revolutions happen and then again it is said the old wine in a new bottle or something like that, that things change, but the same problem comes because the root problem is not addressed. So this is what Swami Krishna Prem says about buddhi, that this intuition power in us has all the solutions. Why? Because it grasps all the connections and grants us the vision of wholeness, which these days, in I think the language of corporate, it is said, looking at the bigger picture or thinking outside the box. Means you look at the situation completely, see interconnections, and then you will get a holistic solution. Same thing, Shankaracharya says that this faculty enables us to realize unity of individual with the universal. And when it happens, the solution to a situation comes automatically, which is holistic. And the same thing from a scientist, Einstein, he says, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. So all the problems that are created, if I think I may be right, are created by our mind, right? Because before, it's only humans who create the problems, and humans are the only ones who have the capacity to think and to, make complexities. Before humans, all the vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom are governed by instinct. Beyond the human kingdom, everybody is governed by intelligence, intuition. So it's only the human kingdom with intellect that has the power to create a complexity or with is thinking. So we cannot solve the problems with the mind. We have to go higher than the mind. And that is what also one of the theosophical gems says that within you is the light of the world, the only light that can be shed upon the path. If you are unable to perceive it within you, it is useless to look for it elsewhere. So basically, it is within us. There is still some time, and till now we have been discussing about what is this homing signal, and how it expresses itself, and different things. But now the most important thing that I would like to share, that how to remain in constant touch with this inner guide so as to have a peaceful and harmonious life, which is basically the main purpose. Till now what we discussed was just some, preface and talking about the subject. So for anything there are certain prerequisites, right? So what is the prerequisite in this situation? For me, prerequisite in this situation is basically, let's take an example. If we want to listen to someone, or if somebody wants to talk to us and calls our name, what do? We turn to that person, or like I'm talking to you, so I'm facing you, I'm not talking facing other side, right? So in this case, I am thinking, or I am aiming to point my attention where? Within. So basically I have to turn within, and basically the prerequisite is to be introvert. And not introvert in the sense that is normally used, I think, in the day-to-day language. People think a person who is introvert is shy, or not very social, or does not speak up, or things like that. Some negative overtones are attached to it, but that's not the case. What the real meaning of the word introvert is, which comes from Latin, is to turn within, to turn one's thoughts inwards in spiritual contemplation. And when need be, the same person can speak or be very, very expressive and extrovert when it comes to sharing those things. So when we want to turn our attention, we want to listen to our inner voice, we have to turn within. And this is also one of the things that is mentioned in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, pratyahara, that is withdrawal of senses. So basically we are withdrawing ourselves from our sensory objects, or sensory attachments, so as we can put all our energy to turn within. The same thing J. Krishnamurti also says, that it is essential sometimes to go to a retreat, to stop everything that you have been doing, to stop your beliefs and experiences completely, and look at them anew. So this is also an importance of retreat, or a study camp, or a meeting like this that we are doing, that for a time being we have completely cut off our concerns to outside world, and we are just concentrated on something that is happening here and now. So, turning within. Now, the question is, do you think it is easy in this world to turn within? No, right? Especially with so much of, in earlier days it was easier, I guess, but now with so much of advancement in technology, this thing, now it has come to our bedroom also, and while sleeping, waking, and all the time it is with us. So it is very, very difficult, including the speaker, that to turn inwards, to just be without anything external. So when we don't do it, when we are not able to do it, then what happens? One is, of course, one of the possible means for turning within is by own choice. So by own choice means somebody has done that. But how has the person able to do that? My understanding of that is, of course, the person must have been working in that direction from earlier lives, and in this life the person is naturally inclined to life within, and apart from doing the duties of family and the society, the person is naturally inclined in inner life. That is one aspect. But suppose that is not the case, then what happens? Then what is the hope for humanity? Is there a hope? Because then we go on like that, no? We'll never turn within. So what is that thing in life that makes us turn within, that has the potential of turning us within? I think we already know. Maybe when I say that, you might is this in some way correct? That when we get pain and suffering in life, we naturally turn within. Apart from, I'm saying potential of turning within, because many people, when they get pain and suffering, they take different routes. Somebody end their life, somebody gets to drugs, alcohol, and other things also. But again, here the importance of good karma comes, that when the pain and suffering is coming, you turn within to the spiritual aspect of that pain and suffering. And there is a book on that Annie Besant has written, Pain, Its Meaning and Use. So basically, whatever pain or suffering that is coming in our life is actually coming to help us turn within. So in a way, it is a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I mean, we are too, I don't know what to say, we are too conditioned to say it's a good thing, because we don't want pain and suffering. So if we do not want pain and suffering, then automatically turn within by own choice. Because then we will begin to see what is the cause of pain and suffering. The pain and suffering has its scariness only till the time we have not understood it. Once I have understood life is transient, the person I am loving today, or the body that I am loving today, I have to leave tomorrow. I mean, death is a cause of pain and suffering, injuries or betrayal, or all those things are cause of pain and suffering, loss, material loss. So if I understand law of karma is there and all these things, then okay, things are just happening. They don't have that effect on our psyche. So in that sense, pain and suffering are the gifts of nature to us, that as a part of compassion, to give a nudge. Okay, this is the time, turn within. And there is a story in Mahabharata when everybody knew Lord Krishna, that okay, he was a god, and at the end of the Mahabharata, so one person asked, and everybody was asking him the boons and everything. So one person asked that, please give me suffering. And that person's name was Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas. And he said, why? He said, because when I am in suffering, I feel more close to you. And that I think we all may experience, that when we are having a difficult time, we connect to, whatever we do, whether we are going to temple, mosque, church, doing a ritual, we do it with so much more dedication. But when life is going very smoothly, very rosily, then, we don't, get that much connection. So I don't know if she really asked or not, but it's kind of a message that we should not take the pain and suffering in our life as some curse or something bad. It has come basically to teach us, to make us stronger. And finally, one more reason is there, which I really feel is very, very important, being a human that turns, again, not necessarily within, but it has the potentiality to turn us within. And that is boredom. Or I would also call it, I mean, many people call it divine discontent. Divine discontent, we might have heard more elegant word. But have you realized the power or this thing called boredom? No matter what object of desire we get, after a point in time, we get bored of it. We want a new thrill. We want new excitement, new experience. Now imagine if there was some object in this world that would have satisfied us forever. Would we ever search for God or for anything else? Because that object has given us complete satisfaction. Now there is nothing more to life. So that is why mind keeps us running from one thing to another, bigger, higher, and dreams and all those things, only to realize in the end that the real thing to be perceived is within, not outside. So that is a very, very important thing that helps us in turning within. That we cannot get satisfied with anything in this world that is outside of us. Even if, let's say, God will give you darshan in front of you, still there is the next stage of becoming one with the God. Because even then, when you are having a darshan or a vision, it is still outside. And the ultimate state of a devotee is that devotee becomes the deity. So that is the extent of this, the divine discontent, that ultimately whatever is to be found is within us. And finally, I will be ending, not going in detail, but what in theosophy is theosophical path to be in this constant touch with this our homing signal or intuition is, again and again we keep studying that study, meditation, and selfless service. We can go a lot in detail of this, but we don't, because the time is up and I don't want to go beyond the time that we have kept for this. Maybe at some other point we can talk in detail about these things. And that is something I think to really ponder about, that this is a great power only in humans. And that is why the human birth is given so much significance, that we can either accelerate our evolution or retard it. We have the power given to us, the laws of nature, the powers of the human being, of love and compassion. It is up to us how we want to use it and how to be in touch with them. So thank you once again for this opportunity that I could share a small snippet of theosophical studies with all of you. And thank you for a patient hearing. If anyone has any comments or any questions, we can take up. Thank you.
I think the session was good. It was very useful. But I think you missed that important word, I think, which you should have, or you could have used, silence. Because all answers come from the silent chambers. Irrespective of whatever situations you are in, the answers are found in the silent chambers. When even in this buoyancy principle of Archimedes, I think the silence was the reason why he got the answer. So this is something which I thought I'll share.
Totally agree. And actually, when we are actually turning within, those are the moments of silence. And this three limbs of theosophical life lead to that silence through which the light comes.
Absolutely. I will just tell you my experience of silence. See, I was jobless and for a long time. For 6 months, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't know what to do, whether because I got kicked out of an MNC because I helped the workers. That was way back in '84. So I was silent for 6 months. I didn't speak except on a transactional basis to my parents and to one of my very, very close friends for 6 months. I got the answer of what I should do next.
Yes.
So that was the turning point for me, this silence.
Yes.
Again, when I closed the company, again 6 months of a serious problem. Again, I went to Ramakrishna Math every day for 6 months. And I had joined the Theosophical Society, and that was the time when I was absolutely silent, and I got the answer. And this is a home for me. Theosophical Society is a home for me.
Yes. And along those lines, I would also just like to add to it that we should not think that the answers that come from within may be very agreeable to people surrounding us, because those answers can be very, very revolutionary, can be very, very, futuristic, which only you can understand, because you are having that state of mind to receive those. And that is why with such answers, courage, conviction, and patience also comes, because a lot of opposition will be there from the society who may not yet understand your vision or ideas. So, and sometimes that's why many such people who take such decisions, get to have so much opposition from the people nearby. But again, where there is a will, there is a way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And another thing I wanted to share here was I was having about 15, 16 sites going on in the year 2010. When I joined the society, when I told my people that I'm going to quit, a lot of people started leaving the company, leaving me handless. There is a number of people have left the job. And then I started doing all the work by myself. And this was the time when again I was telling this silence and then connecting with this thing. I used to take all the problems with me during the night when I slept off, and I had a peaceful night's sleep. And the morning I got the answer for almost all the questions. Because the subconscious mind works like that. The conscious mind, which comprises only about 10% of the total limbic thing, takes the signal to the subconscious mind, and when you go into the subconscious mind, the manifestation takes place in that form. That is, the conscious mind feeds the subconscious mind with all the problems. The subconscious mind, which is connected with the rest of the intelligence and information and energy all over the world, comes back with the answer on the following morning or on the few mornings later, comes out with a proper answer. And you get the solution to what I should do next. I think answers finally, end of the whole, whatever I'm trying to say is all one thing. Answers are got from the silent chambers. Silence, tranquility, serenity.
Thank you, Shikar, for this wonderful session. So there was this slide where you put what is not intuition, and it said it's not clairvoyance, it's not hunch, it's not a gut feeling. So there it became a little tricky for me because I thought the gut feeling, your hunch or your conscience also tells you something about, I thought it was some manifestation of intuition in a way. So can you just tell something more about it?
Yes, this H.P. Blavatsky has very clearly written that gut feeling or hunch or clairvoyance. These are basically the instinct that we have carried over from animal kingdom, which have survival value. But that's why gut and gut feeling and hunch. Normally, you see that when something bad is going to happen, you feel that, right? Or something bad, or if you are in a special situation which is not so comfortable and convenient, and rather, you think something bad is going to happen. At that time, that is basically the survival instinct that we have carried forward from the animal kingdom. But intuition or buddhi that we are talking about, there is no fear, because that is coming from the state of non-duality. So in that stage, you see the things as it is. There is no fear, no anxiety, like in hunch or gut feeling, we feel that something I'm not feeling correct or what is going to happen. So there is no anxiety in that. So that maybe I think can be the difference. Yeah.
Thank you, Shikar.
Okay, I think if no questions, so we can close the session. Geetha ji, thank you.
Thank you, Shikar, for that truly wonderful session. It answered many questions that I had in my mind. And thank you all for joining us on this journey of reflection. The meeting is now closed.